Christmas markets didn't start as entertainment. They weren't built for photos or algorithms or even tourists. They began as a simple human response to winter. Cold streets, short days, long nights. And the instinct to gather, to trade warmth, food, stories, and light. Germany didn't invent Christmas, but it gave it structure. And when you walk through German towns in December, you don't just see Christmas, you feel how it's been practiced for centuries. Frankfurt is often described as a city of contrasts, glass towers and medieval squares, finance and folklore. And that's exactly why its Christmas markets work so well. You can stand at Rothenburg, surrounded by half-timbered houses, a towering Christmas tree, and a carousel turning slowly in the cold, while skyscrapers glow in the distance. This isn't nostalgia, it's continuity. Frankfurt's markets don't pretend the modern world doesn't exist. They simply insist that, for a few weeks, tradition still gets the front seat. Glühwein warms your hands, bratwurst feeds you quickly, conversations start easily. You don't linger because it's spectacular, you linger because it feels normal. As if people have always met here in the winter. Because they have. Then everything shrinks. Braunfels doesn't overwhelm you, it welcomes you. This is where German Christmas becomes personal. A small market, soft lights, locals greeting one another by name. Here, Christmas isn't a destination, it's a neighborhood habit. You drink your Glühwein standing still, not wandering. You listen to music instead of chasing stalls. You notice faces. In Braunfels, you understand something important. Big cities show you how Christmas looks. Small towns remind you why it exists. Nuremberg doesn't mess around. This is one of the oldest Christmas markets in the world, and it carries that weight with confidence. The Christkindlesmarkt isn't about novelty, it's about preservation. No mass-produced junk, no plastic distractions. What you find here is restraint, crafts that follow rules, food made the same way for generations, a symbolic figure, the Christkind, that tells you this market remembers why it started. Nuremberg feels busy, yes, crowded, absolutely, but beneath the noise is discipline. This market survives because it refuses to dilute itself. That's not nostalgia, that's cultural self-respect. Bamberg feels different the moment you arrive. It doesn't perform Christmas. It lets Christmas settle in. The market sits comfortably in the city, not dominating it. Lights are softer. Pace is slower. You wander through medieval streets that don't need decoration to feel magical. The buildings already do the work. Here, Christmas is woven into daily life, not announced, not amplified. You drink your wine, you watch people pass, you feel no urgency. Bamberg reminds you that the most beautiful markets aren't always the loudest. Rothenburg or the Tauber is dangerous, not because it's fake, but because it's too perfect. This is the image people carry in their minds when they imagine a German Christmas, and walking through it feels almost surreal. Cobblestones, timbered houses, beautifully decorated shop fronts. The Ritillesmarkt leans fully into that storybook atmosphere and somehow earns it. Yes, it's romanticized. Yes, it's polished. But it's also genuine. This town survived by preserving itself. And Christmas here feels less like a decoration and more like a costume the town was born wearing. You don't question it. You surrender to it. Würzburg adds scale back into the story. Baroque architecture, wide squares, a palace that reminds you how power once looked. And yet its Christmas market feels approachable. Here, Christmas softens grandeur. A city built to impress becomes a place to gather. Music echoes differently against palace walls. Wine replaces formality. Würzburg shows how Christmas has always worked best, not by erasing status, but by humbling it. Not every market needs to be a centerpiece. Some exist simply to mark time. Wertheim and Miltenberg feel like pauses in the journey, gentle stops, small moments, a walk, a warm drink, a sense of being carried forward. And sometimes that is enough. Heidelberg feels different. This is a city shaped by thinkers, poets, and centuries of introspection. Its Christmas markets unfold beneath castle ruins and along historic streets where romance isn't manufactured, it's embedded. Here, Christmas feels reflective. You sense history not as weight, but as presence. The markets don't dominate the city, they accompany it. Heidelberg reminds you that Christmas isn't only about joy, it's also about contemplation, about pausing, about looking back as the year closes. Speyer takes you further back than any market ever could. Beneath the vast Romanesque cathedral, nearly 1,000 years old, Christmas feels almost elemental. This is not decoration layered onto history. This is tradition standing shoulder to shoulder with it. The market here glows modestly beneath towering stone, reminding you that Christmas is small by design, a human response to something much larger. Speyer doesn't overwhelm, it humbles. Across cities and villages, one thing becomes clear. German Christmas markets aren't about novelty or spectacle. They're about return. Returning to familiar places, returning to shared rituals, returning to the simple act of gathering when the world grows cold. To return to warmth and light. They don't shout joy, they practice it, year after year, weather regardless, world unchanged. You leave Germany understanding something quietly profound. Christmas markets survive not because they're beautiful, but because they serve a purpose. They give warmth to winter, rhythm to darkness. They give people a place to meet beyond the comforts of their living rooms. And in a world that moves too fast, demands too much, and forgets too often, that simple act, gathering, becomes extraordinary. That is the real magic of German Christmas. Not the lights, not the wine, not even the markets, but the fact that for centuries, people keep showing up to celebrate a simple tradition of experiencing human joy.
When a fire lights up a starry night on Christmas, promises we made all just seems to fade on Christmas. When you kiss me slow under the mistletoe on